ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तन्न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः. Let us read from the verse 9. यज्ञार्थात् कर्मणोऽन्यत्र लोकोऽयं कर्मबन्धनः तदर्थं कर्म कौन्तेय मुक्तसङ्गः समाचर सह यज्ञाः प्रजा सृष्ट्वा पुरोवाच प्रजापतिः अनेन प्रसविष्यध्वम् एषवोस्त्विष्टकामधुक् देवान् भावयतानेन ते देवा भावयन्तु वः परस्परं भावयन्तः श्रेयः परमवाप्स्यथ इष्टान् भोगान् हि वो देवाः दास्यन्ते यज्ञभाविताः तैर्दत्तानप्रदायैभ्यः यो भुङ्क्तेस्तेन एव सः सह यज्ञः प्रजाः सृष्ट्वा पुरा उवाच प्रजापतिः. In the 10th verse we are told, in the beginning the Creator, having created the human beings along with the yajna, as I said yesterday, so the Lord created this principle of yajna, principle of what we may call sacrifice. Having created that, so having created this yajna in order to provide this guideline to the human being as to how he should conduct himself. Then Prajapati uvacha, then Prajapati the Creator said, Anena prasavishyadhvam, O human beings, may you prosper, may you multiply and prosper with the help of this yajna. Eshavostvishtakāmadhuka, may this yajna, the very spirit of sacrifice, may it prove for you to be a wish-fulfilling cow. Meaning thereby that all one's wishes can be fulfilled when one takes up or when one adopts this spirit of yajna or the spirit of sacrifice. Yajna means actually Vishnu. One of the statements in the Veda is Yajño vai Vishnu. Yajna means Vishnu. Vishnu means all-pervasive Lord. So yajna is in fact one of the names of Lord Vishnu, the all-pervasive Lord. Tadartham karma kaunteya, hey Kaunteya, hey Arjuna, may you perform the actions for the sake of yajna, meaning for the sake of Lord. So this also means that may you perform your actions in this spirit of worship. It doesn't matter what action we perform. What is important is what is the spirit with which we perform an action. It is not that an action is small or action is big. It is the spirit behind the action that makes it small or big. And therefore, every little action that we perform can become a big action if the spirit behind that action is one of worship. May the Lord be pleased by this action of mine. Which Lord? The Lord who is present before me in the form of the universe, in the form of the world around me, in the form of the people and things and beings who are around me. In that form, the Lord is manifest before me. May that Lord be pleased by my action. So, in every situation I confront a world before me. I may look upon that very world as the manifestation of that Lord, and then I say, may the Lord who is present before me in the form of this universe, may He be pleased by what I do. It is this very spirit of pleasing, the spirit of worshipping, the spirit of offering, which is a healing spirit. It heals me. It heals all the wounds and whatever there are things inside. To heal them, this is an excellent spirit. Two things. While performing an action, when action is performed in the spirit of worship, spirit of offering. And while receiving the results, that is while confronting the various situations, when I have the spirit again of what we said yesterday, prasad buddhi, accepting whatever comes to me as the grace of God. This is also very healing. So this is what we do. I do something which is what we call action, and I receive something which is what we call the result of the action. What I do is called karma, and what comes to me is called karma phala. So this is the spirit of karma yoga, that when I do something, then there is spirit of worship. When I receive something, there is the spirit that this is coming to me from the Lord, and this is His prasada, this is His grace. To the extent that this spirit can be maintained by me, to that extent my mind will become free from, as I said, any resistance, any complaints, any blaming. I will not blame anything, nor will I blame myself. I may not necessarily understand everything, that is true. Sometimes it is far from clear as to how a given event can be looked upon as blessing of Lord. Far from clear. But that is where, as I said, comes the question of Shraddha or a question of the faith. All of this is naturally, at this time, based on faith, that there is God, that there is an order, that there is a harmony, that there is fairness in this universe. And therefore there is no unfairness. Even though sometimes it may look that I have been treated unfairly, there is a trust in me that there is no unfairness. In the apparent unfairness also there is fairness hidden in some way. If the Shraddha or the trust is there, then alone will it be possible for me to be able to relate to whatever comes to me in the spirit of what we call prasad buddhi, accepting it as the grace of Lord. To the extent that I can display the spirit, to that extent my whatever difficulties there are, whatever anger I have, whatever complaints I have, whatever frustrations I have, all of these will be slowly and slowly resolved. So as we said yesterday, Lord Krishna or Lord can become a great therapist if we relate to Him in this manner. So it is that very devotion and the very trust that we have in Him will help us to slowly and slowly resolve things. Because whatever there is in my heart, in terms of my anger, in terms of my resentment, in terms of my complaints, in terms of my frustrations, and whatever it is that causes pain to me, all of that has been on account of not being able to accept the realities of life. I would have wished the realities to be in some way, and I find the realities in a different way, and therefore I resist or I complain or I react. And if I give benefit of doubt to the Creator, then I realize that even though I may not understand why a given thing happened to me or happens to me, I have a trust that there is some good hidden in there. And if this is the attitude, then my heart will slowly become free, as I said, from various likes and all those, whatever there is in my mind, alone is called raga and dvesha, likes and dislikes. And this is the way there will be healing that takes place in my mind. Mind becomes progressively free from these likes and dislikes and develop a greater and greater tuning up with the Lord. So we may say that karma yoga or yoga is the process of tuning up with the Lord. Whether we call him order, call him harmony, call him grace, call him benevolence. So developing a finer and finer tuning up with him. So this tuning up is required before I know him as myself. That is why the first stage is yoga, the second stage is jnana. In the yoga, I tune up with him. In jnana, I know him as my very self. So this is how, as we said, the spiritual growth is presented in these two stages. First is the stage of worship, and second is the stage of knowledge. In the 12th verse we are told, Ishtan bhogan hi vo devaha dasyante yajna bhavitaha. The gods propitiated by yajna will give you desirable objects. That is how Lord, as I said, these verses reveal the cosmic laws that are obtaining. That may not be very evident to us, but this text here reveals certain fundamental laws around which this universe functions. That if I display a spirit of propitiating the gods, and by gods is meant this universe, the various cosmic forces and everything. As I said, the universe consists of different kinds of living beings, the gods and the mains and the sages and the human beings and the plants and creatures and animals. So world consisting of that. To the extent that I have the spirit of propitiating this world by my action, to that extent, then so they will propitiate me. This is how we know this. Like when we go into the mountains and then sometimes there is echoing from the mountains, and you go in and shout there, love, 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 and then they also reflect back, love, love, love. You say hate, 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 then that's what also gets echoed back. Similarly also, if there is the attitude of propitiating in my life, then here Lord Krishna says that there is also a reflection or echoing of the same attitude. The gods propitiated by yajna will propitiate you, will give you desirable objects. Thus Bhagavad Gītā presents this as a way of fulfilling our desires. It is accepted that human being to begin with has lots of needs and lots of desires. No doubt all those desires are supposedly product of ignorance, but they are there. And therefore we require a means to be able to fulfill our desires. Before we grow into maturity, when we grow out of desires, before then there is a need to fulfill the desires also. So what is the way to fulfill the desire? Here Lord Krishna says, yajna, the worship. Offering is the best spirit of even fulfilling our material desires. And so we will find things becoming favorable to us. So we find this world of gods or the universe also favoring us by fulfilling the desires that we have. We may say that whatever desires have been fulfilled or whatever we have in terms of this body, in terms of my mind, in terms of the knowledge, in terms of the skills, in terms of abilities, in terms of opportunities, in terms of accomplishments, whatever it is that I have, all of this is nothing but the gift given to me by God in the form of all these different gods. And therefore Lord Krishna says, Tair dattana pradayebhya yo bhungte sthena eva saha. Therefore, one who enjoys the objects given by them without offering to them in return is indeed a thief. So again, as we said yesterday, let there be a recognition in our life that I am the recipient of the favor, and let my life also reflect that sense of gratitude, and therefore I must also give my share. Let us go to the next verse. What is said there? Yajñasishtāshinas santah muchyante sarva kilbishaihi bhunjate te tvagam papaha ye pachantyatma karanad. Yajñasishta shanasantah muchyante sarva kilbishaihi. And so the Vedas look upon the life of an individual as consisting of only yajna. We said yesterday that for a typical householder, these 5 different yajnas are prescribed. Now these 5 different forms of yajnas or worship should be there in the life of every householder. The scriptures recognize that even in the process of living our day-to-day life, we cause harm to many creatures. Kandani, Peshani, Chulli, Udukumbhi, Marjani. Imagine thousands of years ago a simple life that a family is leading with minimum needs, but in the minimum needs also there are a few things that you have to do. You have to pound things, you have to grind things, so pounding is required. Then grinding is required, drawing water is required, lighting fire is required, and sweeping the floor is required. These are the minimum things that have to be done. And each one of these actions involves some injury or, to some creatures. So some violence is involved in each one of these actions. When I am pounding something, when I am grinding something, when I light the fire using the firewood, when I am sweeping the floor, when I am drawing the water, in all of these processes, some creatures or insects do get killed. That means that knowingly or unknowingly, some amount of himsa or some amount of violence is involved in our life. Therefore, they say that in the daily routine of everyone, there must be specific actions performed in order to neutralize the effect of this violence. So that is how also they prescribe these 5 forms of yajna. Or we said also that we have obligation to these 5 kinds of living beings in the universe. We are, as I say, receiving favors from the gods, from the ancestors, from the sages, from other human beings, and from other creatures and life forms. And therefore, there must be specific actions performed in our day-to-day life in order to return the favor to all of them. Therefore, a portion of what I have should go to the gods, a portion should go to the maids, a portion should go to the sages, a portion should go to the human beings, and a portion should go to other living beings. That portion may include my time, it may include my attitude, it may include some of the resources that I have. So having that given the portions that rightfully belongs to all these different sections of the universe, whatever is left belongs to me. So Lord Krishna uses the expression Yajñasishta Shinaha. Yajna Shishta Ashinaha. Ashinaha, those who eat. Shishta, that which remains. Yajna, having offered in the yajna. So having performed these various yajnas, or having performed these, the task actions to express these various obligations, whatever remains is what belongs to me. Like a typical, the business there may be, there are a number of shareholders, and so when they declare the annual profit, the first share is given to all the shareholders. And then whatever remains can only be taken by, the owners or whatever they are. Similarly also, we should recognize that in whatever we are and in whatever we achieve, the whole universe is a share. As I said, it is by their support that I am what I am, and I am able to do what I am able to do. This is what we discussed yesterday, that I have a body, that is because it is a gift of my parents and ancestors. That I have knowledge, that is a gift of the teachers. I have my limbs all function, that is a gift of the gods whose grace is required for the various limbs in my body to function. And as I said, other human beings and other creatures also contribute in my life, and therefore, in whatever I get, they have a share. And that share must be assigned to them. And then whatever remains is what I can enjoy. So one who enjoys the remnants, having then given the portions that belongs to the sections of the universe, and then one partakes of whatever remains of that, is called Yagnashishta Shinaha. Muchyante Sarva Kalvishahi. They are released from all the impurities or all the sins. The idea is that whatever comes to us also comes with some blemishes. Nothing is there that is pure. For example, when I make money in the business, some kind of blemish is going to be there. There cannot be a process that is absolutely pure. However honest I may be and however good I may be in my business, and still some kind of an injury, some violence is going to be involved. Somebody is going to be hurt. At somebody's cost I will get this. In whatever I achieved, always some kind of a harm or injury is going to be involved. That is the reason why there are some people who... What is that? What's that? Huh? Even the food that we eat also comes with its own blemishes. That's the reason why some people do not eat anywhere. They always insist upon eating food in their own home and cooked by the people whom they trust, or sometimes only cooked by themselves. Because the food carries let's say food is purchased with money. How pure that earning is. And so whatever is impurity in my earning is going to be reflected in the food that I buy through that money. And while cooking the food also, whatever be my state of mind. And therefore, whatever difficulties there are, suppose some worries, anxieties, anger, whatever it is in my mind while I am cooking, even that also will get reflected. The kind of food also. So, some kind of blemishes are always there in everything that is created, and so whatever I get always brings some blemishes along with them. That's the reason why some purification process must be constantly there. Just as when we get the water, we make sure that we filter that water before we drink, or process that water. Because when the water comes from earth, or it comes from river, whichever source it comes from, is always going to carry some impurities with it. Similarly also, whatever comes to me in my life always carries some impurities with it, and therefore some purification process must be there in my life. The yajna is a self-purification, purifying process. Muchyante sarva kalvishahi, then these people get released from all impurities. Bhunjate te tvaham papaha ye pachanti atmakaranat. Whereas those sinful people who cook only for themselves eat but sin. So Lord Krishna says in very strong language here. So those people who are totally self-centered, in whose life there is no place for anybody else. They may feel that they are very smart, but that's not so. Lord Krishna says that they are not fulfilling their obligations to the universe, and therefore, earlier they were described as thieves. Here they are called sinners, and they are not eating food. So it is said that in the food that I eat also, there must be a share of other creatures. I remember that as we were growing children, as school-going children, maybe I would be the first one to have my lunch, food. But before food is served to me, I would be asked, my mother would ask me, all right, come on, go and feed the cow. Come on, go and give it this to the beggar. And so some portion will be first kept aside for dogs or for cow or some beggar or whatever it is. And then alone we would have our food. And so it was recognized that in whatever we have, all of these creatures must have their share. And so, we should recognize that all these people should have a place in our life. Sometimes people become so self-centered that all they can think of is just themselves. And they forget everything. Sometimes when children also, they simply forget whatever the parents have done for them. They just forget them. And when they grow to the age of 18, 20, that is it, they become independent and parents are where they are and they are where they are. To such an extent that the father and mother, they may be, with modest means and may have a lot of hardships in their life, and the son happens to be a big doctor and is a millionaire. It doesn't matter how his parents live. He lives his life and they live their life. And this man, this boy is now 8 years old, and is making $80,000, $100,000 a year, and his poor mother is divorced, and she may be making $15,000 and is struggling. She doesn't have a place to live, and she goes and rents this place and that place, and then this boy comes and says, "Mom, I think you have some problem. You don't know how to keep your job. I think you must become self-sufficient, He's advising him. Not that he should share some of his, income with the mother. That thought never occurs to him. He says, "Mom, I'm going to give you my car. Except that, you may return this money in so many installments, His 5-year-old car that he's giving to his mom. And his mother is supposed to, return. Because mother says, "Yeah, my son, I know Swamiji, he earns $100,000, but he's very tight. He's more tight than I am. He has this obligation, this socializing, this, that, and so forth, and therefore, the son has no place even for his mother." What I'm saying is that the human being is capable of becoming so self-centered because of his own insecurities, because of his own fears, because of his own problems, emotional problems, that sometimes he forgets that the whole universe has contributed so much in I being what I am. He completely forgets, becomes insensitive. So on account of our fears, insecurities, and our anger, and our whatever we have, our likes and dislikes, we will become so insensitive. So that is what Lord Krishna says, the people are so insensitive. They become so self-centered that in their life there is nobody else has a place. And so Lord Krishna calls them sin, because when they cook, this is just a symbol. When he cooks only for himself. The idea is that nobody else has a place. So they are not eating food, they are eating sin. He is not, he is a sinner eating sin. Now Lord Krishna shows here in the next few verses how a certain harmony or order is obtaining in the universe, drawing our attention to that. How it is yajna, or how it is the spirit of sacrifice that is really sustaining this whole universe. When we say that there is an order or there is a harmony in the universe, what is the nature of that order? That is what Lord Krishna reveals. Lord Krishna says that yajna or sacrifice is the nature of that order or harmony. So let us read the next 2 verses. Annad bhavanti bhutani parjanyadanna sambhavah yajñād bhavati parjanyah yajñah karma samudbhavah karma brahmodbhavam vidhi brahmakshara samudbhavam tasmāt sarvagatam brahma nityam yajñe pratishṭhitam. Annad bhavanti bhutani. Living beings are born of food. This is a well-known fact. Living beings are born of food and sustained by food, and they grow by food. Then parjanyat anna sambhavaha. The food is born of rain, and this also is known to us. Food is born of rain. So living beings are born of food, fine. The food is born of rain. Then yajñāt bhavati parjanyah. This rain is born of what? Lord Krishna says rain is born of yajna. So by yajna we mean here that very spirit of sacrifice, the spirit of offering. That wherever, in whichever society, in whichever group of people, this spirit of yajna, the sacrifice or offering prevails, that is where we find rain or prosperity. So rain here stands for the prosperity, even the material prosperity that a society may enjoy. So Lord Krishna says that that society will enjoy even material prosperity where this spirit of yajna or the sacrifice or worship or offering prevails. Yajna karma samudbhavaha. What is that spirit of sacrifice can we maintain whenever we perform the various day-to-day activities. So here Lord Krishna also, and also Lord says, how the living beings can be born when the food. So the food performs the sacrifice of its own self. When I eat the food, then the sacrifice goes on in my own stomach. When the food completely gives itself up and gets transformed as the very energy in my body, then alone my body can be sustained. The food no more remains as food. The idea is that when I eat the food is willing to completely sacrifice itself and get transformed as the very energy, and then alone my body can be sustained or nourished. If the food goes into my stomach and decides that it is not going to make a sacrifice, it is going to remain what it is. I eat potatoes and onions or chapatis and rice, and it remains as chapati and rice, and doesn't get converted into food juice and into the energy, then that food cannot help me at all. The idea is that the food must completely give itself up to get transformed as the very energy, and then alone this body can be sustained. But how is the food, first of all? So that's called cooking the food. But the food also is the product of a sacrifice. These plants and vegetables, in fact, which form my food, they also performed a sacrifice, that they allowed themselves completely to be transformed and allowed themselves to be cooked. If the potato is cooked, let us say, and it doesn't get cooked, then it cannot become my food. If the wheat doesn't get cooked, things cannot become my food. And therefore, these plants and vegetables also perform a sacrifice when they get transformed into food. And how the plants and vegetables came into being? When the rain, so the water, which gets transformed into the very sap. So when that performs the sacrifice, then the rain gets transformed as the plants. The plants and vegetables get sacrifice, they get transformed as food. The food also performs the sacrifice, it gets transformed as the very energy. So Lord Krishna says this whole cycle of sacrifice is going on. In the Upanishads, very often we find this whole universe described as nothing but a cosmic sacrifice. Various elements performing their own sacrifice in order for the whole wheel of universe to go on. So Lord Krishna says, hey Arjuna, observe the functioning of the universe, and you find how various elements sacrifice themselves in order that this universal process should go on. And so even Surya, the sun, is performing a great sacrifice. He is a karma yogi. So not only he provides us light, illumines our path, but he is constantly active. With his heat, he constantly evaporates the water from the ocean and reservoirs and converts them into clouds and then brings them as rain. He is doing his job constantly. Earth is constantly doing its job, and wind is constantly doing its job, and water is constantly, everybody is constantly doing their job with no return of any favor or rewards, and constantly doing their job, offering themselves. This spirit of offering is what we call yajna, or sacrifice. And Lord Krishna says, look, it is the spirit of sacrifice that is what sustains this harmony in the universe. And human being also, being a part of this creation, should also join this process, and therefore his or her life also should become one, a life of offering. But Swami, if I keep on offering, what will happen to me? That's what Lord Krishna said. When you offer, the gods of the universe, propitiated by that, will also return the favor to you. So this is built into the scheme of things. We may have difficulty in trusting this, of course, because Swamiji, you don't know how the world is, how you can be exploited, how you can be taken advantage of. And I am willing to accept that. What I am saying is, this is what Lord Krishna says. Lord Krishna says this. There is in your life this spirit of offering that has to be echoed back in one way or the other. And I think that we may have to discover this as a fact in our own life, of course. This is what Lord Krishna says. Before it can become my knowledge, I have to verify it in my life. No doubt about this. These principles that are revealed here have to be verified in our own life by our own experience. But if we observe our past life, perhaps we'll find this. As Swamiji says very often that every moment we are enjoying grace. That the heart does love and up, and between love and up it stops and starts. So between love and up there is grace. Every moment there is grace. As Shankaracharya says in one place, Nishvase nahi vishvasaha. You cannot trust the outgoing breath that will come back. So once breath goes out, suppose it doesn't come back, that's the end of it. The breath goes out and comes back. No, that is grace. As Swami said, I open my mouth and I can close it. There is also grace, because it can happen that I open the mouth, I cannot close it. My jaws may be locked. I may go to sleep at night and I may not wake up. Or I may wake up, with a stroke or something like that. All of these are possible that they don't happen. That is all grace. So let there be a recognition of the grace that we are enjoying, the favor that we are enjoying. We take things for granted. Sorry, what's the big deal? Everybody has it. Just because everybody has it does not mean that it is not valuable. That I can walk, I can talk, I can think, I can do all these day-to-day simple things also is a great privilege. So everybody talks. So what? Just because everybody talks doesn't mean that the ability of talking is something ordinary. That I can walk and I can talk and I can think and these are all great privileges. This is nothing but the manifestation of grace. And therefore, if we observe our own life, we find that from the birth onwards, we have been enjoying the grace. Whatever was required for me at a given stage in life was always given to me. No, Swami, that's not right. I didn't get this, I didn't get that, I didn't get this, I didn't get that. Millions of things I did not get. Unfortunately, human being always is preoccupied with what he does not have, and therefore he has no appreciation for what he has. So whereas I complain about 100 things that I did not get in my life, I do not even have no value for thousands of things that I did get also. Yes, there are many things that I did not get. There is nobody who can get everything. But there are many, many more things that I got also. But Swamiji, he got more than I got. My brother got this and I did not get this. That's okay. We accept that somebody got more than me. Somebody got less than me, and so forth and so on. But then where is the end to that? So let there be an appreciation and let us learn to enjoy what there is. We are so preoccupied with what we don't have and so worried and anxious, and frustrated and disappointed at what we do not have that we have no leisure to enjoy what we do have. But if we pay attention to what we do have, we find we have plenty. If we think of what we don't have, of course there is an infinitely long list. But if we think of what we have, we find that it is reasonably there. Plenty is also there. And this is what Lord Krishna wants us to make a note. So that will, when I realize that I have been enjoying a grace in my life, then alone there will be some generosity or large-heartedness in me. Then alone I will have the heart to give something, accommodate somebody. And Lord Krishna said that the order that obtains the universe is order of the nature of yajna, of the nature of sacrifice. How all elements of nature constantly do their share and participate in the scheme of things, in the spirit of participation, spirit of offering, in the spirit of worship. We always point out, and look at our own body also, how the various limbs in my body, they are constantly in the process of an offering. The hands and the legs and the speech and the head and the stomach, all of these have no selfishness at all. Each member of this assembly is dedicated to the well-being of the whole assembly. Is it not so? So my body is a whole consisting of a number of limbs. And each limb is dedicated to the well-being of the totality of the body. And therefore, when my hands do something, it is not merely for themselves, it is for the whole body. When my legs walk, it is not again for themselves, it is for serving the whole body. Therefore, each member of this assembly serves constantly the whole assembly and in turn gets served also. So the best way to be served is to serve. So that is the cleanest and the most non-violent way. Lord Krishna, understand, is teaching us non-violence in Bhagavad Gītā. Lord Krishna has no interest in violence. He has no interest in teaching war and stuff like that. He does not require Arjuna to fight any battle really. Somebody said, Swamiji, why didn't Lord Krishna himself finish everybody else? Why do you require? He has done it. In the 11th chapter, Lord Krishna reveals this. When he reveals his cosmic form, Arjuna finds that the warriors in both the armies are walking into the jaws of Lord Death, that is Lord Krishna. What's happening? And he was frightened. He asked, Lord, so how come you have presented yourself before me in this terrible form? Lord Krishna says, to show you that I am nothing but the embodiment of death and I am here to devour everything. Whether you fight or do not fight, nobody is standing in both these armies, none of them is going to survive. Because I have already devoured them. So what am I supposed to do, O Lord? You are just supposed to get the glory. Lord Krishna says, I have chosen you to get the glory. That Arjuna vanquished the warriors who are invincible. Bhishma, Drona, Karna, invincible warriors. Arjuna is the one who vanquished them. Arjuna's name will be written in the golden letters in the pages of history, and Arjuna will be remembered as the greatest warrior. Lord Krishna says, because you are my devotee, and because you are a special person, therefore I have chosen you to get this glory. Each one of us is that. Each one of us has been chosen to get these glories. We are not satisfied with the glory that we have, that's our problem. But then each one of us is doing nothing. Lord Krishna says, I am doing everything. And when we think of things in our own life, we find that, what are we doing? What are we claiming? What business do I have all the time to keep on demanding and complaining, For what? Oh, Swami, I did this. But who is that I? I did what? Oh, I'm a self-made man. It is by my own skills and abilities that I have achieved this. But where did you get the abilities? Where did you get the skills? When you were born with nothing. And so whatever I have right now is all given to me. And therefore, as we often say, that I should not look upon myself even as the owner of this body. I am nothing but a possessor of the body, a trustee, that's what I am. And therefore, to claim ownership itself is false. This is what Lord Krishna wants us to recognize ultimately, that we are nothing but merely instruments in His hands. Who is really doing is nothing but Himself. And all that we are supposed to do is to facilitate Him to do what He has to do. So let us become nothing but instruments in the scheme that He has. So with our ahankara and mamakara, with this I and mine, we constantly interfere in His scheme. That's all we do. All we do is nothing but interfering in His scheme. Let us not interfere. Like a musician wants to play with his tabla or with his sitar or whatever it is, then what is the role of sitar or what is the role of the violin, the instrument? Allow the musician to play whatever tune he wants to play. Suppose violin has its own thing, its own agenda. Then what? the pure musician could never produce proper music. What is the role of violin who has no agenda at all? If we can thus become a violin in the hands of the Lord with no agenda at all, well, that is how a wise person is described, who has no agenda of his own, and therefore God's agenda has become his agenda. When there is total freedom from resistance, when there is no ahankara or mamakara, so this is what we are taught. This is the right way of doing things to recognize. So then there will be humility in our life. Rather than pride or arrogance, there is going to be a humility. So as we said, this is how slowly and slowly we develop the tuning up with the Lord. You develop a personal relationship with God as a devotee as well as a recipient of His grace constantly. And Lord Krishna says, one does, and karma brahmodbhavam vidhi brahmakshara samudbhavam. Understand that all of this is revealed in the scriptures. So this is what is propounded in the Vedas, and Vedas are the scriptures revealed by the Lord. Tasmat sarvagatam brahma nityam yagne pratishthitam. The second line of the 15th verse we are told, therefore, the all-pervasive Brahman abides always in yajna. What it means is that wherever the spirit of yajna or a sacrifice obtains, that is where God is present. There is another thing also that we should remember, that in this project we are not alone. Of course we are scared very often as to what will happen to us. Swamiji, when I start following these values of non-violence and truthfulness and honesty, what will happen to me? So here Lord Krishna says, Tasmat sarvagatam brahma nityam yagne pratishthitam. Therefore, the all-pervasive Brahman or God abides always in yajna. That is, wherever the spirit of sacrifice is there, wherever the spirit of offering is there, the grace of the Lord is present in the form of His grace. So that, as I said, we are not alone in this journey. We always have the silent support or silent grace of the Lord. Wherever yajna is there, wherever spirit of worship is there, wherever spirit of sacrifice is there, that is where God is present. That means His grace is present. That means His support is present. But Swami, sometimes I don't find it. The story is, the footprints in the sand, that's a very well-known story, And so this devotee complains when once he was dreaming and he was looking back at his life, and then he was having this conversation with God, and says, God, you have told me that you are always with me. He says, yes, you're right. I can see the two footprints. One is the footprint of mine, and another is your footprint, that you are with me. But I find that whenever I was in a tremendous difficulty, at that time I don't find two footprints, I find only one set of footprints. Where were you when I really needed you? So when I was really in a tremendous difficulty, when I really needed you, that's the time when instead of two footprints, I find only one set of footprints. Where were you? So then we are told, then God tells him, so that is when I carried you. That's the reason why there's only one set of footprints instead of two. But all of this is something to be discovered. At this time, this is a matter of faith. But all this faith or the shraddha or the trust becomes a matter of our knowledge as we discover this as a reality in our life. If pain and suffering is reality, the grace also is a reality. These are also realities of life, and these realities are those which we have to discover in our own life. Continuing the verse 16, Lord Krishna says, Evam pravartitam chakram nanuvartayati hayah aghayurindriya ramah mogham partha sajivate. Evam pravartitam chakram na anuvartayati ihayah. Yah, a person, na anuvartayati, who does not live in this manner. Here in this life, evam pravartitam chakram, according to the cosmic order that is already set in motion. Lord Krishna says in the last few verses, "Hey Arjuna, I have described to you this cosmic order that is obtaining." As I said, the cosmic order is of the nature of yajna or sacrifice. And therefore, human being also a part of this cosmos, should also join in the spirit of sacrifice. Suppose I do not join, suppose I drop out, suppose I live the way I want to live. Lord Krishna says, then you are violating the order. Whenever you violate the order, there is also punishment. As I said yesterday, this is what is about every law. Whenever we follow the law, there is always a reward, and whenever we violate the law, there is always a punishment. Here in the 16th verse, Lord Krishna again says, 3 times it is said in this 3rd chapter of Gītā. Yesterday we read earlier once. This is 2nd time. Suttai dattana pradayebhya yo bhungte steneva saha. Now again Lord Krishna says, evam pravartitam chakram, this cosmic wheel or this cosmic order, the cosmic harmony that is set in motion by me. So Lord Krishna reveals here this order obtaining the universe, that this is how the universe has been created. That there is an order, that there is a harmony, and that harmony is of the nature of yajna or sacrifice. And therefore, this is also taught to the human being for his own welfare, for his own well-being, for his own growth. That's why it was said that when the human beings are created, the yajna, the spirit of sacrifice, also was created along with it, and they were told to follow this as a process of the prosperity, the material and the spiritual prosperity in their life. Suppose somebody deliberately chooses not to join this cosmic wheel or the cosmic law. Aghayuhu indriyaramah mogham partha sah jivati. He partha sah mogham jivati. He lives wastefully. Aghayuhu. He is a fellow who lives in sin. Aghayuhu. His life is nothing but sin. Mogham jivati. He lives wastefully. Why is it so? Indriyaramah, because he is given only to the pleasure of senses. So who is a person who will have difficulty in following this cosmic law of sacrifice? The person who is given to merely sense gratification. Who is the person who is self-centered? Who is the person who is insensitive? Who is the person who has difficulty in following this cosmic law? The person who is given to a life of sense gratification. It's called Indriya Aramaha. So Aramaha, one whose only agenda is nothing but the gratification of senses, and therefore one who is only running after the sense pleasures. So this also comes on account of ignorance. Because of ignorance, a person feels that the pleasures, the happiness lies out there in the sense objects, and that's why all the time he is chasing those sense pleasures. Lord Krishna is such an extrovert person. He is nothing but living wastefully, because he is searching for something where it is not. He is searching for happiness or satisfaction in the objects and achievements of the world where they are not. He lives wastefully. He lives in sin because he just lives a life of what we call sense gratification, sense pleasures. Meaning here, therefore, that one has the freedom to waste away one's life also. So this is what a human being can do, unfortunately. That he can either bless himself or he can curse himself. Both of these possibilities are there. Because when the freedom is given to the human being in order so that he helps him. But when that freedom is abused, then he also can hurt him. So either I can help him or I can hurt him is both dependent upon me. This is what we call the free will, and how to use our free will is what is being taught here in the scriptures, in the Gītā. Alright, we shall conclude this class here and continue at 10 o'clock. Om Purnamada पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ। श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ।